I am Ralph with 13 Peppers, and in today's video we're going to be making ourselves a cherry whiskey dipping sauce, and we're going to be using some of the good stuff. In this video I'm just going to be going over what I do to actually make a dipping sauce I was kind of interested in. Had an idea for it, and I played around with multiple different recipes to get kind of what I wanted in and out of the sauce. I like the idea of a cooked whiskey flavor, and I saw one similar to this that actually used mangoes, and I was like, okay, mangoes are good, but let's try to sweeten it up. And I came across maraschino cherries, so I think this actually turns out great with exactly what I wanted, and let's go ahead and we'll get into it. So for this recipe, I'm going to be starting off with 1 cup of Jack Daniel's White Label Bourbon. We're going to be doing 1 cup of red maraschino cherries and the syrup. That's all going to go in there. And I'm going to use a total of 3 of the 7-pot Cadies. This is actually the pepper we're going to be using. This is what they call a 7-pot Cadie. The Scoville rating on this one is anywhere between 1.2 million, 1.6 million. So once you're up that high, it doesn't matter if you're 0.6 or 0.2. It's hot as hell. So I like this little pepper. I like the flavor and everything it brings, but it does bring some serious heat and some quick heat once you start tasting it. So this is what we're using. Now we're going to take those 3 items that we put into the blender here, and we're going to blend that up. Let's go ahead and... Okay, let's get this blended up. I'm going to watch how much I actually blend this, because those peppers come out things. Because I want this to be chunky, but not too chunky. I think that's what I want. All right. Every time I take this lid off, the peppers just hit you. So peppers on here, and the cherries have been cut up finely, so there's like little tiny chunks of it. So that's what I want to see. At this particular point, I'm going to leave this in here. I'm going to set this in the refrigerator, and we're going to let all the flavors and everything meld for a day, and then we will finish the sauce come tomorrow. Now that the beginning of our sauce is actually set for a day to let the whiskey, cherry, and the peppers all meld together, we're going to go ahead, open this up, transfer this to the pot, and add our final ingredients. I'm going to go ahead and transfer this to the pot. We're going to go ahead and add 2 cups of dark brown sugar. We'll go ahead and we're going to turn this cook pot up to high and get this all mixed in. We're going to let this go ahead and cook up on high, bring up to a boil. Make sure that all the sugar and everything has been dissolved. Then we will go ahead and turn that down to a medium heat to go ahead and reduce down into the thickness of the dipping sauce that we want. Now, since this is coming up to a boil, you do need to keep an eye on it, because with the amount of sugar and everything in here, it will have a tendency to boil over. So once it gets roughly to this stage, you just want to go ahead, let's turn this down to a medium low, and we want to reduce this down roughly 50% to make this into a nice thick syrup. So, oop, this is already trying to boil over, so we're going to take this off the heat. Yeah, that's why you have to be careful. Okay, so now we got this down to a medium-low heat, and we want this to go ahead and reduce down roughly 50% or so until you get it to your desired consistency. Best thing to do is, if not with plastic spoon, but if you have like a metal spoon, go ahead and you put that in, and when you pull it out, if it leaves a nice coat over the entire back of the spoon, if you're holding it up this way, then that's usually thick enough, because once you get it off the heat, the sauces and everything will become more thicker. So that's roughly what I'll be looking at. This will take about a half hour or so, give or take. I'm just going to keep an eye on it, see where it's at, and test that throughout the process. Okay, now that we actually have this all reduced down and we've let this cool just a bit, let's go ahead and put it in the container. And that makes a beautiful, beautiful looking sauce. Now, if you notice, this sauce is a deep dark red color. Beautiful, beautiful sauce, smelling and everything. You can actually make this sauce a couple different ways. And just to show that we always work through a bunch of different recipes to get exactly what we want, this one right here is one I did a few days ago. Now this one is a lot, just like a bright red on that, and you can actually see translucent all the way through it. Same recipe, except I used 1.5 cups of white granulated sugar and a 1/4 cup of corn syrup with vanilla extract added to it, just for a different look and profile. Taste-wise and everything, very, very well. And on this one here, this one is a super, super dark red. It's actually darker than the one that we actually did today. This one right here, I used 1.5 cups of dark brown sugar, and then I used a 1/4 cup of molasses that I've mixed in with this. So that actually just gives a little bit different flavor on the sweetness, but the heat and everything is still there. Nice chunky, and makes an excellent dipping sauce for wings, fish, anything you want to on that too. So very, very, very nice. Now with these sauces and everything that I have here, last thing you gotta do is you gotta taste it out. So a good amount there on my finger. Very, very sweet. You get the brown sugar and the cherry and everything right up front. Then you get the, very good. Then you get the pepper and everything comes right up in. Now with the 7-Pot Katie, this burn for me, roof of the mouth and top of the tongue. That is the majority of where you're gonna actually feel this. Swallowing it and everything, I don't feel anything really in the back of my throat, but the top of the mouth and the tongue is where I feel it. Now with the pepper, it is a super, super hot pepper. To me, this would be sauce I use just sparingly. If you don't like super hot, you can use yourself any other kind of red pepper with the exact same recipe. Use a red jalapeno, you can use a red habanero, serranos, whatever you like on that. You can even use a cayenne peppers if you wanted to change them up and put those type of peppers in here. Have the recipe and everything pretty much identical. Just swap out the peppers for one that has less heat, depending on what you want. But like I say with all my other videos and with all the different sauces and everything else that you can make, make it your own and enjoy it. So, tasty, but hot. Okay. Whew. Okay. So with that, I want to say thank you guys very much. If you like what you've seen here today, please subscribe to the channel. It helps me out greatly. You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram at 13 Peppers by Ralph. You can also go to my website, which is 13peppersbyralph.com. There I have links to all my videos, to the seeds I sell, and here soon to all the ground spices and seasonings that we'll be adding on there too. So with that, I do appreciate you guys very much, and you have yourself a very good day.